Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Book to Block, the series where I bring my fantasy novel to life in Minecraft, one block at a time. In the last episode, I was doing a planning episode and I set out all of these things down here on the overworld map. For today, I decided I'm going to go with the starting village as our choice for what I'm going to build. If you saw my TikTok or YouTube short, you'll notice that I have expanded my little room over here, the teleport rooms. So, as I said in the previous episode, it's going to be just decorated with the block palette, but now I have space for at least 5 teleportation areas. The most basic one is just the center right now. That'll probably be changed later on once I have more locations to choose from. This is just my way of getting from down here in the little bunker all the way up to the surface and into the build. So by the end of today, hopefully I'll have one ready here for the starting village so I can get right there with no issues. Without further ado, let's head on up and start planning. Alright, so here we are back on the surface in the world. You can see from the last episode all the labels I made for the different locations. So as I said, we're going to start on the starting village. Start off with, I did a little bit of terrain adjustments off camera, so I'll put the time lapse here so you can see the progress, and then we'll get straight into planning the village. Alright, so here we are. Now that we've flattened this area out, made it a little bit easier to work with, along with working on the pathway. So first thing we're going to do is doing a little bit of planning of where different things in this build in general are going to go. So we'll go with an assign. So I'm thinking this will be more of where the housing will be. So here will be the village square here. Made it a little bit easier to see. Over here is the pathway through all the way to the waterfall, so mark that off. That's good. And then over here, I'm thinking this will be where the entrance to the mine will be. So I'll have a nice tunnel all the way down, and then maybe like a minecart that comes up here. So since this is the living area, I'm thinking this will be more of like the production area or storage for items. So and then we'll go over here and mark out a couple of the house locations. So I think into here. We'll take a copy of that one. I think over here will be a nice, like a larger house. We can take a little bit more space. One up over here. I think back in this corner would be a nice place for one too. Want to be populated enough, but not overly large. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. We'll probably stick 6 houses. And then maybe one up here, so 7 houses. So we'll start with that, and then if we need more, we can either squeeze them in between, use up this pathway a little bit more, so push back the paths and starting to here, and put a couple houses in these areas. I can flatten out or push back these mountains a bit more. I could also add a couple maybe over here, flatten this area out, add a couple more throughout here if I need it a little bit more populated. So in the time lapse, you probably saw near the end, I started working on this path over here. So I kind of made it a little bit more obvious of where a pathway could be, so I cut out a path in between the mountains here. Here doesn't seem like much can go here, so I'm going to just mark off. So I'm planning to have like a little maybe like rope bridge, or maybe a little bit sturdier bridge. Since these are dwarves, they might be able to come up with something better than a rope bridge. So it might be like a nice sturdy bridge going down into this area for supports. Then it'll head over this way. I have it like go down this area and back up. Currently it's not the best, so I might have to build a staircase up this way. But then you come up here, over here, and then this is where I kind of ended off in the time lapse of the smoothing and adjusting of the mountains. So it'll continue on this way, weaving in and out. Over here is where the waterfall is going to be. So this area will be the lake. So it'll come along here and probably just skirting around the lake into the forest that'll be on the backside here. But that is for a future episode. Alright, since this is a mining village, I think I'm going to start off with the mine itself. See kind of the scale I want to go for, how deep, and how big for that. So I think I'll time-lapse this as well, and you can see my progress of digging into the mountain, how I'm going to plan it. I'm going to get some reference images of how mines are constructed, and then see what I'm going to do for little bits of detail whilst going through. So then after that, we can maybe start working on some of the housing. Alright, so that's a little bit of the progress of the mine. As you can see, I've got a little mine track all the way down. I've got a little offshoot where they found a little bit of ore, possibly like they saw it, and then they dug in and found a nice little pocket of it, and slowly working away at it. You can probably fill this up with a bit of ore, just to show that it's being mined. And then continues down here a little bit further. And this is kind of where they're working on it now. So they've brought the track all the way down. You can probably put like a stop, so something like this, that the minecart stops and then they can send it back up. Right now it's not going to be a functional other than just going down, because I don't have the redstone ones to shoot it back up. But I think this is a good start just to show the mine the level of progress that they're working with. So it seems like kind of a fairly new mine, so I'm thinking that they moved to this area maybe years ago, not centuries per se. It's not like the homeland of these people. Maybe they had a village somewhere else in the mountains where they depleted their ore like amount they've got in their mines, so they shifted over and they started mining over here. So maybe one of the villages I'll put over here somewhere might be like an abandoned mine, abandoned village. That might be a nice touch to add a little bit of a former settlement of these dwarves. But now that I've got that done, I can kind of find the scale of this village. So I think with this size and maybe a few decades, which isn't much to a dwarf because they live longer than humans do. So maybe it's fully settled over here, but it's not like a old homeland of the ancient dwarves per se. All right, now to a little track of our progress down here. So I'm gonna expand the mines. So maybe add a couple more offshoots, have it go maybe deeper down where different families of dwarves have chosen their own, and that's where they go to work every day. So I'll expand the mines, and then I'm going to have a place where they kind of bring it. So like I said over here, production and storage area. So maybe they don't want to just take full things like with the rock, like when you see the iron ore, they don't want all of this stone or the deep slate here to go with. So maybe they'll have a production where they separate the ore from the rock. So that'll be over here, the production, and then storage. So production storage facility. So they'll bring the ore up here, have it maybe stored over here. Then they have a production plant where they sift through the ore to get just the mineral that they want. Then after that, we can focus on the living area. So we got the square with the different houses. So I'll try and find a style that I like. I'll work through that a little bit. And then after that, we can maybe work on the bridge here and work on the pathing a bit maybe as well. All right, so that'll be kind of the to-do of the starting village. So, all right, so let's take on one task and work on that now. All right, so we've got the storage facility now up and running. So I extended the tracks from the mines to over here. It can be switched. I'll probably make a little booth or something here to make it a little bit more professional than just a lever for now. This will head off over to the production area, but for the storage, it comes here, stopped here. I might make a little nicer stopping area. You then take it, unload either to here or into the barrels, depending on how organized this person is that is on duty for that day. I got the barrels for the more organized people. And then the final storage after it's finished through the production, before it gets shipped off to the main city or used for tools, it can be stored over here in these more professional storages here, a little bit cleaner. And then it can be extended further in. You can see they're making a little dent to make more storage. I might double up on this side for this storage as well. Might go a bit higher. Thinking also of adding maybe a bit of an archway just to more stability. I like the dark oak with spruce and then the deep slate tufts, or the gray and brown. They work well together. Got a bit of lighting with these lanterns. Looks a lot better when you go into the night. Kind of see from up here. I kind of want to work on this front bit. It's a little flat, so I might work on maybe get some things hanging it over, maybe some vines, or maybe just build it up a little bit more, but the general structure's there, so it's just a little additions later on. All right, so for the production side, so we've got the storage already, but for the production side, I think I'm going to build it into this cliff wall face here. So I raised up this area a little bit more so it can more steadily go into it. These dwarves, they tend to work underground. They're not too much above ground. This is kind of an exception, being just a small mining outpost. But I want to kind of get this in here, start by just hollowing it out, and then see what kind of shape and like what facilities within this production area I'm going to need. Alright, so my kind of plan here is to kind of have it like a anthill, sort of where it goes in and out. I can kind of show you. So I'll have different rooms for different purposes, kind of stretch out, maybe go up and down a little bit. Don't want to cut into where the housing might be because it'll go kind of into the hills, sort of like a Hobbit hill, but more dwarven, obviously. But I think I'll make a couple rooms, assign each one its own purpose. So for like some, it'll be a smeltery, others will be they work it into the bars, maybe like a pour it into molds and such, and then other ones where they have to like process other things. Maybe it's not just used for the iron from the mine, maybe it's also used for other products of this area, turning maybe wood into charcoal or other things like that. Alright, I did a little bit more work than I was planning, but I got a little into it a bit much and put a lot of detailing in. So start off with the minecart bringing in the raw iron from the mine. I'll probably connect it up to the mine entrance. Comes here to be offloaded. Got some structural support, lanterns with the chain, nice lighting. Then over here is sort of like a sifter I made. So you come and take the iron, you sift it, you get the iron itself, and then just the rocks. It can be changed out and taken apart. So then you take the iron itself, send it down this track on over to the forge. So over here you kind of outload it here, got the iron and a bit of coal that's been collected. So you can put it in here. I've got like a channel, so when it melts, it can be taken over. And if you come over here and this little, I'm using these buttons kind of as little bits of coal, but if you press this one, it removes the iron and then releases the molten iron or the lava, but I'm just going to use it as the molten iron. Comes down over here. You can scoop it up with this bucket, the cauldron with lava. Then I've got these kind of ingot casts. Kind of hard to do it when it's this small, so this one's a little bit larger, but just to show that it's in there. And then you can take the ingots up to over here where they can be worked in the kind of craftsman area. So you got some of these, so you can store the iron ingots, some crafting tables, a grindstone if you need to sharpen anything, some tools that have already been made, bit of a quenching area for the hot metal. You can work on the anvils here if you need to heat up again using the fire here. But that's kind of the processing area. So you can go over here. This is kind of what it looks like. And then if you come on out to the outside again, you come up above. I've put sort of a chimney so that the smoke can escape properly. So that's just some campfires on hay bales for the more smoke. Reaches higher. Looks quite good at night. You can emits a little bit of light and then the smoking there. Alright, so I think we accomplished a decent amount today. Not as much as I hoped for. I was thinking maybe I could get the full starting village done, but it looks like only half with the mine, storage, and then production facility. So, but I think that's a good start for this. So it'll be either 2 or maybe 3 episodes for the starting village. After that, we can move on to the next big project, but I think next episode we'll be working on the living situation. So figuring out the style of housing, how much I want inside the mountains, if I want to do another kind of anthill, sort of different rooms within the mountain. And then thinking about doing the bridge, I think I'm going to go for more of a sturdy bridge instead of a rope bridge, as well as like the staircases up into the mountains to get across and pathing. But I think that's enough for today's episode. So if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Until next time.